Hello, Michael King. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
It's going great, man. Thank you so much for making time for me.
Beautiful, and thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Michael, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, Michael, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, you on this platform right now, Michael, because you did invested in yourself. And oftentimes, my man, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Marco, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I used the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Michael, just recently I was on that same road, and this time around, mm, a lot's changed about the mango tree. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes now, Michael. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was a lovely experience that day, and I was so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Michael that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip here. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your philosophies, your journey, your work, the impact your work is having, and how you are offering your solutions, Michael. The stuff's so beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Michael is doing. And not only me now, because I don't want to look selfish, and even with the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Michael. So thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much, my man.
Well, Elisha, I appreciate the words and appreciate the invite, and I do my best to just be available in the appointments that I feel like God has for me in the moment. So I believe
Hmm,
that this is the moment for this for
beautiful.
today. So let's do it.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. Let's do it. So I am quite excited to have you on the show today, Michael, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a chaotic situation to that of a beautiful one, Michael, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge alone, but the application of it. And you see, my man, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the incredible Michael on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, my man, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of informations flying out there. So those folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, my man, that our conversation is gonna be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Michael, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Michael got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Michael, my man, over to you.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me. So, Michael King here. I'm based out of Omaha, Nebraska. I am the father of three amazing kids. Been married for 28 years. Currently, the CEO and founder of a company called Teams.coach. We also have Catalyst Co for our small businesses, coaches, consultants, and other entrepreneurs. But I coach executives as if they're Olympic athletes. Olympic athletes hire coaches to help them break world records, and I have the privilege of working with leaders that want to do the exact same things. That's what I do. We've been doing this for about 10 years now. Before this, I was an executive pastor in one of America's fastest growing churches, and then before that, I was a singer-songwriter and a recording artist in the music industry. And today, it's all about elevating your story. It's about elevating everybody else around me, and I love this season that I'm in. So thank you again for having me. And just everybody, if you want to check out more about what we're doing in the films that I release, how I take creativity and combine it with executive coaching, things like that, make sure you check out michaelkingjr.com. And we just released a brand new film there this week about a high school assembly that we did to reach young people.
Amazing, my man. You're committed to elevating people's stories and even the ones around you and beyond. That's amazing, and I got that. But you see, there is a spot that I'm a bit curious about, okay? So, what inspired your shift from ministry? You mentioned that just now. What inspired your shift from ministry leadership to executive coaching? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I don't know if it was inspired at all. I literally think that it was, I almost think like that the good Lord put me in a headlock and said, I have a different assignment for you. It's time for you to move on. And that's probably the best way for me to be able to put it. For so many years when I was in that seat, and I loved the impact that we were making through our local church. I loved it. I had always felt just in my heart that it was a little bit of a square peg round hole. Like have you ever had those moments where you just felt like that you were in the wrong space doing the wrong things? Have you ever felt that before? You
Yeah,
know? And that's what I had felt for quite a while, even in the middle of success, even in the middle of me enjoying the fact that we were making a big impact and we were achieving success as far as the things that we were looking for within ministry. And I felt like God was honored through it. I really do. But there came a kind of a turning point within the ministry in which my platforms started to make a bigger impact outside of the church. And I started to ask myself some questions about, okay, God, are you done with me here in this assignment, or what is going on here? And so eventually I just kind of came to a point of surrender and saying, you know what, I think I'm going to go ahead and trust on this. And I took a wild leap. I didn't really give a lot of notice. It was Christmas Eve services, and I told the Lord that if he told me how I was going to pay my bills the next day, I was going to resign from my church position. And he made a way. And the next thing you knew, I was coaching Fortune 500 leaders and speaking on bigger stages globally. And it's been such an amazing experience.
amazing. And Jesus is still being seen. That's the
Yeah,
beautiful
absolutely.
part of it.
Yeah. And I think that's a really big part of the global conversation is that there are some people that are called to be local church pastors. And if that's you, I want you to, like whoever's listening, if that's you, I want you to be faithful to that calling. I don't want you to look at what I'm doing and saying, man, there's a better way. But the question is not about whether you're a Christian or not. The question is are you being faithful to the thing that God has called you to? For me specifically, I have a calling to be able to work with leaders globally, and I lead by faith, and so I keep that pretty transparent about that. But yeah, this is not a question of my faith. This was a question of assignment.
Question of assignment. And I can relate so well. But this is a bit funny. It occurred to me. You know, when I was in college, not about some years ago now, and we started a fellowship, and I was leading people preaching the word of God, and we've got series of fellows joining us. And it was about time for us to be done with college. And I said to myself, now I need to go establish this fellowship outside the school premise. So fellows can be coming every Sundays and once a week and all. Then the Holy Spirit told me, he said, that ain't what I've called you to do. Yeah, I've sent you to go minister the gospel, but not in that pattern. And I became a bit confused because these are the things that fellas around me are doing whom I know God has placed call upon and to be in the ministry like that. I kind of Didn't understand that. So I said to myself, maybe God is trying to explain something in a different way that I'm not really getting. But let me just try it, God. Let me just try it. So, Michael, I rented a particular space and I told people about it. Okay, now the fellowship is here now, and it's more like a gathering, like a church stuff. So you come every Sundays and once a week, and once during the week, and people started coming. The first Sunday, it was, I said, all right, beautiful. But you see, the second Sunday, Michael, it was the people that were calling me, hey, Elisha, it is time for service. Where are you? I just felt reluctant. I just lost total interest in going. Then the Holy Spirit told me, I told you that ain't what I've called you to do. Yes, you're definitely going to preach my word. You're going to preach the gospel, but not in that style. And I said, Holy Spirit, now I understand. I just left. I didn't return back. The interest just died.
Wow.
And now I'm doing it in the way he wants me to.
Come on.
I tell you, man, so I can relate with you. I totally get that. And that clarity, nothing beats it. So thank you for the wonderful stuff that you're doing, my man. It's amazing. So what about this one? What is the Teams method in simple terms?
Absolutely. We had to, so I mean, this goes all the way back to the very beginning, is that I'm a certified executive coach. So that's important to me, by the way. When you're choosing an executive coach to work with, there's a lot of options. There's 4.2 million people globally that call themselves executive coaches these days, but only 3% are actually certified. And so you should work with somebody who has certification and a proven track record, right? When you're looking at an executive coach of who you should be using, try to balance that out. Don't go with somebody that just has certifications. Go with somebody that has certifications and a proof of work, right? So many people get taken advantage of and get ripped off and don't necessarily have something to show for after they work with an executive coach. So just be careful in that journey. But part of our coaching methodology is the Teams methodology. And so I use this when I coach my leaders one-on-one. And I use this when we coach our large scale teams across organizations as well. So let me take you through it really quick. It's super simple, but these are the 5 things that we measure every single week to making sure that everybody has their needle moving forward. So the first one is target. Okay, what is your bullseye for the week? What are you giving your attention to? What is the thing that you're specifically called to? The second one is the E in teams. So that's the T. The second one is the E in teams, and it's engagement. So how are you engaging with yourself as a leader? How are you engaging with your team? And how are you engaging with your crowd? Again, we want to be able to measure that. We want to have strategies put within that, because first and foremost is that leadership always starts with you. Would you agree with me on that?
I'm a man.
It always
Very
starts.
true. Self
It
leadership.
always starts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we start there. The third one is action steps. What are the 2 to 3 things that you're going to commit to today that's going to help you actually move the needle towards your target that we previously established? Here's the thing. There's something so stinking powerful about the power of now. And even in your daily life today, Elisha, like I would just consistently challenge you. There's all these distractions that are going to come your way. Well, why are they going to come your way? Is because you are talented, you are capable, and you're anointed. Like God has a call in your life. And so here's the thing, is that every single victory in heaven never goes unchallenged by the power of hell. So you want to make sure that you eliminate those distractions, and you want to make sure that you keep on point. So you want to make sure that you identify 3 things that you're willing to do this week to making sure that you're moving the needle towards your target, and you're identifying what you are going to do with the power of now. Now is a gift. Do we understand that? You don't give your gift away to anybody just blindly. You really want to make sure strategically that you're locked in, loaded, and saying, okay, great, this is what I'm going to do with my now energy. The third one is momentum. Now, the M in teams is probably one of the most important ones, because here's the thing. I don't talk about momentum in the way of like, what more can Elisha do? I talk about momentum in this simple way. Elisha, can you identify the 1 to 2 things that you feel like might be slowing you down this week? And do you have the authority and the ability to change those things or to say no to them? So that is how we get momentum. It's not by adding more so you go faster. No, it's by eliminating some of the friction and some of your resistance, some of the things that are slowing you down, and we go faster organically, right? The last one is synergy. Synergy is so important to our coaching methodology, because every single week I'm going to ask you where you're winning at, and then I'm going to ask you the harder questions of like, great, how can we replicate that? I want to clearly identify the things that we're getting good return on, and we're going to double down on that energy. But we're also going to recognize the things that aren't giving us good return, and we're going to completely say no to those things, and we're going to offer up those things every single week. So there is a method to our madness here. It's a little bit of some data, some science, all that stuff that goes into that. But that's the team's methodology, and that's what we work through every single week with our leaders.
This is amazing, and it sounds so effective, like an effective approach, and I got that. So what about this one? Can you share a transformation story from your work? You've got any?
Yeah, I mean, we've one is happening right before us. You know, at this company, they were a compliance company, a banking compliance company. He started working with me about 4 years ago, and he came to me and he said, "Hey, I heard you work with helping companies with their strategic plan for them to be able to sell or to be able to merge with a larger company. I would like to sell my company. I want you to help me with that." So I got in, started working with the company, and started looking at the data, started looking at the culture of everything that was internal. And I just said to him, I said, I'll call him Bob for the sake of this call. But I said, "Bob," I said, "I know you want to sell your company, but I don't know if you've been a good steward of your company. I don't think you've been a good steward of yourself. I think that there's a bigger play here. And I think it's by you actually becoming the person that you're supposed to be. I think it's by you being a good steward of your company and helping your company grow into what they're supposed to be as well. So how about this? How about we fix your company first and then we sell it? Because I think you're going to get a lot more money if we do it that way." And he said, "Great. You know, it's taken us 4 years, but this week, actually today, he's signing the paperwork for a company in which he's getting multiple millions of dollars more for his company because he put in the hard work to
Amazing.
fix the broken things."
Thank you for sharing that. That's a smart one. Wow, that's beautiful. I got that.
So, you know, there's a couple things when it comes to leading with heart, but I think for me, leading with conviction and leading with values first are the things that separates great organizations versus the ones that eventually fail and go to the wayside. Because if you're not leading with conviction, and if you're not actually leading with values, then there's something very disposable about what you're bringing to the table. Everybody's trying to increase the top line revenue of their company. That's almost like a boring goal. Like, I know how to increase top line revenues of companies. I'm able to see ways that we can optimize and do all these things. But the companies that have astronomical growth and astronomical impact, these are the companies that care about their legacy. And guess what? The companies that lead with values are the ones that always make more money. But here's the bad news. Only 57% of global organizations actually truly know what their internal values are. So again, you can't lead with heart if you don't know who you are. You can't lead with heart if you don't know what you care about the most. You can't lead with heart if you don't know what type of legacy you're going to leave and what type of impact you want to make.
If you don't know who you are, it is impossible to lead with art. I got that. So finally, what advice do you have for leaders facing chaos or uncertainty?
Simplify. You know, I think more times than not, when it comes to the organizations that we coach and the leaders that I coach, there's such a level of confusion and lack of clarity within their organization that they don't necessarily know how to lead people to win. So if you're currently sitting in an organization, you might be an employee within a team, and you currently don't necessarily know what you're responsible for or who you're responsible for, but you just know that you have to show up every day. Ask the hard questions. Now, if you are leading an organization, you have to build by design. Chaos happens when we have people in the wrong seats and we don't have clarity as far as what they're responsible for. But here's the thing, is that clarity always starts with you as the senior leader. So you have to zero this thing down into the vision. Okay, in the next 2 to 3 years, what type of impact do you want to make as a leader? And what type of impact do you want your company to make as a leader? Like, let's just simply start there. But then let's make sure that your mission is locked in. Okay, so if vision is what we see, mission is what we do. Let's make sure that these things are dialed in at a supernatural level of clarity, so everybody that you lead never has to guess what they're a part of.
Vision is what we see. Mission is what we do.
That's right.
Simplify. I got that. So to bring this to an end, Michael, for folks, I'll take that as a final thought. So for folks who like to reach out to you, learn more about the wonderful stuff you're doing, or even ask you questions, or be a part of your wonderful services and programs, how can that be possible?
Please visit michaelkingjr.com. We have some incredible new films available for you to check out, but also make sure to follow me on all social platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, Twitter, and also LinkedIn. Feel free to message me. I would love to have you as my friend, and I'd love to have you engaged in the incredible work that we do.
Beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, Michael. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this wonderful stuff with us. It means a whole lot, man. Thank you.
Hey, be blessed. Bye bye.